Okay guys, so today we're going to be making something like this here. I'm going to show you how to make it in Blender. If you do end up making it, please tag me, I'd love to see it. Alright, let's get into it. So first thing I'm going to do is just delete everything in the scene. I'm then going to add in a plane. Now with this plane, I want to take that middle point and just put it over to the side here. The way we're going to do that is come over to options. I'm going to then select origins and location. Then once we're here, I'm then going to hit G and then Shift Z to lock it in these two planes. I'm going to then hold Control and then I'm going to snap it up and then to the side and to the side. So now we should have this. So once it's there, I'm then going to come over here and turn origins and location off. So now if I hit Alt G, it's now going to reset our location value. I'll just turn that on up here. So now that's all at 0. And we should have this. Now, whilst we're here, I'm going to come over to my scale, and on the Y, I'm going to type in 50. Now we have this. I'm going to then come over here into the edit mode. I'm going to hit Control R to add a loop cut. I'm going to just set that in there. Come down here, number of cuts, I'm going to type in 300. So now we have this, which is a very high-res plane. All we need to do to it now is to come over into the modifier stack and then throw on a simple deform. And then just make sure that the axis is set to Y. Set that to about 5,000. And that's going to give us this just here. Now if I just smooth shade that, and also throw in a subdivision and make sure that's before the deform. And in the render, I'm going to type in about 5. We do need quite a bit of geometry for this. Now, while we're here, I do want to make the thickness of this just a little bit more. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn both of these off, come back into edit mode. Okay, now that we're in here, what I'm going to do is just come on to the side here. Double click, that should select all these here. I'm going to hit G and then X. That's going to look to the X and then just bring this across quite a bit. Once we have this, I'm going to come back into our object mode, turn back on our deform, and that's going to give us a lot more thickness to work with. Now let's chuck a camera into the scene. And I just want to point that straight down the barrel. So let's just set our rotation here to 90 and our Y and Z to 0. Now we have that. That's looking straight down the barrel just there. Now I want this to be a square frame for Instagram. So I'm going to come over here into our scene and on our resolution, I'm going to set both of these to 1080. So now we should have a perfect square looking straight down the middle there. Alright, this is ready for a texture. So once we have this, I want to select it, come over to shading. Once we're here, I'm going to give it a new shade. I'm going to just hit 0 to set the camera. I'm going to delete this principle. Now I'm going to grab a bunch of nodes. So firstly, let's grab a color ramp. Let's grab a Musgrave. I'm going to grab a noise. I'm going to grab an emission. And I'm also going to grab a mix RGB. I'm going to place that underneath these two. I'm going to grab a gradient texture. And I'm also going to grab a mapping node and a texture coordinate node. There we go. Okay. So this, once you have, I'll just pause it here. Once you have these nodes, let's connect them up. So firstly, I'm going to connect our emission to our surface. Connect it up here. I'm going to set our color ramp to constant and just bring this in a bit. Then I'm going to connect our Musgrave into our noise. Then I'm going to have our mix. I'm going to just plug that into our color ramp. I'm then going to plug our noise into our mix. I'm going to plug our gradient texture into the mix as well. So just to give us a better view of what we're doing here, I'm going to just zoom out a little bit by just scrolling. I'm going to turn off deform. So now we can just see what it's doing along this form just here. So what I'm going to do here now is plug our mapping node into the gradient, and also I'm going to plug our UV into the vector just here. So what we have now is these two here giving us this kind of crazy texture, if you can see that on the screen here. And then if I swipe over, now that's swapping over to our texture, our gradient texture just here. And now with this, I just want to spin it 90 degrees. So on the Z, I'm going to come over, type in 90, and then just on this X, I'm just going to bring it over just so I can see it, just like that. So what you're seeing here is what we can see here in our color ramp. So if I adjust that, it adjusts that. And I'll show you how to do this now, but what we're going to do is just throw in a few colors here. Okay, so now that I have this, which I've just added in a few more colors here just by clicking and minusing. So what we want to do now is just come down to our mix shader here, and then we just want to mix in the right amount of noise to gradient. So just mainly have it a gradient with just a little bit of noise in there, and you should have this effect just here. So now let's animate this. How we're going to do that is just come over to the corner here, until that appears. We're going to click up, drag up, and we should get another little square, little box just here. Click on this, drop down, timeline. Now let's just change it to a timeline. Now we want to animate this on the X location, X axis location right here. And what that's going to do, I might just turn down that a little bit, just so that's out of the picture. That's alright. Now that we have this, we just want to make, I'm just going to hold down shift as I do this too, just to make it a bit smoother. So the textures, we just want to make them go from this side to that side. So I'm going to start over here. I'm going to throw in a keyframe, right click, throw in a keyframe, come over to the end over here. I'm going to drag that, hold shift all the way to the end. I'm going to insert another keyframe here. Now, this probably isn't linear, which is we want linear. As you can see, it slowly starts off and then gets faster. What we're going to do now is just hold Control Tab. That's going to change this to our graph editor. I'm going to select our mapping node. That's going to pull this up just here. I'm then going to push T, switch this to linear. So now we have a linear line going from A to B. Now that we have that, we're pretty much done. So what I'm going to do is just that. That looks pretty good. I'm going to come back to our layout. I'm going to switch it over to render mode. On the world, I'm going to just take that all the way to black. Then on the render settings, I'm going to switch on bloom. Under bloom, the radius, I'm going to just pull that down just a little bit, just so it glows just a touch. Now if I open the modifiers tab and turn on the deform, press 0 just to get the camera look. Then if I just take it back to the start, we should have this. Really simple, really cool animation that you can make in a couple minutes. Alright, if you guys enjoyed that, if you want to figure out how to export this, I do have a video on how to export it. If you do end up making it, please tag me in it. I would love to see what you guys come up with. Obviously, you can change anything about this and it would look pretty good. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.